Night of the Living podcast is always ad-free for patrons at patreon.com/NOTLP.
Hey, welcome to Night of the Living podcast, where we discuss horror, science fiction, and fantasy films. But since it's January, every year what we do is our palate cleanser staff picks. And it's my pick this week, and I picked Enter the Void. And I'm Freddy. That's Amy.
Hello, how are you?
And there's Andy.
Hello.
And I'm looking forward to getting into the movie.
I'm going to have this fight with you. I think that we always have.
Yeah.
It's podcaster's choice.
Oh, that's too many syllables, man.
I think we changed to the staff picks a while ago, didn't we?
We did because I had to.
Because he bullied us.
Well, it was just too hard to use it graphically, you know.
Because he's a bully.
Podcaster's choice is too much.
Because he likes to bully people.
It's just a lot of mouthful.
I think Freddy's POV was like, hey, it's like we work at a video store and these are the picks that we're suggesting to you.
Yeah, it's that same thing.
Oh, fine. Gang up on me. Why don't you?
It's like when you get a shelf.
I'm not taking sides. I'm just giving you the history.
I know where your loyalties lie now.
Yeah. Amy is raw dog and chocolate chips right now.
I am not. Don't tell people I'm chewing on air. They can't tell, right?
I can.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'll stop.
Her lips are just covered in chocolate like Augustus
It's
Gloop.
disgusting. I'm disgusting.
They look good, but now we'll just have to wait.
I know. And this is pure
Yeah.
torture.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because we're going to talk about some other torture later. And then...
Exquisite torture, though.
Yes.
What, patreon.com/NOTLP.
Yeah.
We have ad-free versions of this show, of Zoned Out, which is the Twilight Zone podcast we do with Joe, and Topicana. We just did one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And Origins coming soon.
So all that extra content's over there. In addition to that, there's our Discord, which I think is a kind, gentle corner of the internet.
It really is. We enjoy everybody there so much. We're playing Dungeons and Dragons with people from Discord tonight.
Yes, we are.
A little bit of Dungeons and Dragons at Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Not tabletop.
I was like confused. Like what
video
you
gaming.
meant.
Andy, we need to get you
An Xbox.
something that can play Baldur's Gate 3.
Let's start a fundraiser to get me a Xbox.
There's no other worthy causes out there right now, so it's fine.
Be like, will you help this poor middle-aged man get an Xbox so he can play games with his little friends?
I have a Switch, and that's the extent of my gaming.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna dip my toes into any big consoles.
Yeah, the Switch is pretty sweet.
Intimidating, huh?
You know, when you have a Switch.
There's only so many controllers I can have in my life.
Yeah. I get it.
So many different placements of the A button.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like they should all get together and put them in the
And plus,
same spot.
doesn't the Xbox have like 4 buttons? 6 even?
Well, the Xbox has 8 buttons. Well, 10. And then you also, if you count the clicky sticks, that's 12.
Yeah, that's too many buttons for me.
A lot of buttons. It's amazing what you can get used to, though.
Yeah. Switch has like 5, I think. The
And
two
that's
A,
all.
B, and the left and right.
You got the triggers. So you got 4
gosh.
plus 2, you got 6. Then you got 2 other buttons on there, like a home button and a... Yeah, you're up to almost 10 buttons already there.
Tonight.
It's a button night.
This is what you would...
Why you come here?
This is why you come here to this show. How many buttons are on that? Well, let me tell you.
Buttons.
I want us to stop talking about buttons.
Okay. we can button that up. Put a pin in it. You want to talk about pins?
I was going to segue into red buttons.
Oh, red buttons.
Oh, dear God.
He was in They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Which I just recently saw. And Amy said he looked like George W. Bush.
He did.
And he really did.
Like, they very much favored each other.
It was
So
crazy.
there you go.
Crazy. Red buttons.
Red buttons.
I think he was like a vaudeville guy, wasn't he? I don't know. I could Google it.
No, I don't know. I just know the name.
Yeah. He was an actor in the 60s. He was pretty popular. I mean, I find out if he was a vaudeville guy.
No, put your phone down. We're not Googling.
No Google?
Oh
All right.
God,
Well, I'll leave it up to you at home. Look up red buttons if you're curious.
Yeah. I doubt you are.
Next time you're on your phone, you're going to get all these red buttons ads.
Or Amazon's going to think we're talking about actual red buttons.
Yeah. It's like, we put this in your cart for you.
Yep.
Isn't that sweet of them?
Convenient.
So, yeah. That's sort of what's up. That's what's happening. Anything else we need to talk about? Anything else?
We've been snowed in. I mean, I wanted to also just we'll say that being snowed in isn't all bad because we've been playing games and reading and stuff, and that's kind of nice. But I wanted to say to our winner for the mailing list,
yes,
Anave is how I think your name is pronounced. If your name is Anave, you're the winner for this month of staff picks, which means you can pick a film. It can be anything, any genre. So if you can get back to us with that, I sent you an email, so check your box. We may have gone to your spam.
Oh my gosh.
You know, like canned ham.
Spam. Hopefully it's a lower sodium spam because regular spam is very high in salt.
High.
It really is.
So good though. A little mustard on it.
Fry it up.
Fry it up.
I know people that eat it with ketchup on white bread.
Okay. I'll allow it.
Just like raw and straight out of the can?
No, I think they fry it.
No,
Okay.
Slice it and fry it and then serve it with ketchup.
it's gotta be fried. Anything's good if it's fried, but this is good.
It's spicy. I like it with scrambled eggs. I think that's my favorite application of spam.
Okay.
If we're talking about spam now.
We are.
Yeah.
I like it in fried rice. It's really good in fried rice.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And ramen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the other ways.
Yeah.
We moved on from buttons to spam.
You're like Bubba Gump talking about shrimp.
Yeah. For real though.
Are we ready to hit
Enter
that?
the void.
Enter the void? I don't know. Are we? We're gonna find out very soon.
Yeah, Amy wants to exit the void.
Lights, it's the main attraction. Okay. No, we had this discussion last time where I'm like, oh, I was hemming and hawing between this and Hot Fuzz. And I was like, are you sure you want to do Enter the Void? Because it's a beefy runtime.
To do what your heart desires.
Yeah. And I had seen this movie once before and I was blown away by it then. And I knew it was one of those movies I would never revisit unless we did it for the show.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I chose it.
I had the same reaction because like it's a one and done movie for me.
Yeah.
But I think I had the same feeling I did last time. I don't think I had any more perspective on it as the years passed.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty classic theme. It's life and death, and I just really like. And I thought some people would say this is all gimmicky stuff, but to me it worked in a really effective way. Is that the whole movie first is shot in first person with blanks and everything included, so you feel like you're playing like a first person game almost. But the whole point of the movie is that this guy first has an out of body experience brought on by some heavy drugs, and then has the exact same experience as he has died and is now searching for a new vessel for himself to be reincarnated into. But all of this is first person. And that makes it, to me, it was the first time I saw it, I felt like it was incredibly intense.
That's a very intense movie.
Yeah. It's the closest I can equate to like a drug trip.
Maybe, yeah.
Which was exactly what we said about Climax.
Yeah, Climax was a lot like that.
But this is 10 times more intense because the POV, the perspective that this is shot from.
Yeah.
But like the only drugs I've ever done was like marijuana based. But like I imagine this was like what it's like to do mushrooms or acid.
They were calling it what, DMT? Was that what it was called?
Yeah. I mean, if this is what taking drugs it feels like, then it's kind of like a PSA not to do them.
Yeah.
Because it's super trippy.
It's intense. In the beginning, there's actually a moment that made me giggle this time that didn't. The first time I saw it, I was just like glued to my seat. But this time, like when they have the POV of him lighting the pipe, and you just picture them having like a camera in a guy's hand coming just off from off frame with this pipe coming out of the foreground. I started laughing because for just a second it took me out of it, but then I was right back in.
Yeah, I would like to see how they made this because it's really their shots. I'm like, how they do that? The whole movie.
A lot of it was cranes. They said like that they were really complicated crane shots so that they could move, through like arcs and angles. So the story here, what you got, two siblings lost their parents in a head-on collision, and he vowed to his little sister that he would always stay with her. They're split up by foster care and reunited as adults. In
Tokyo.
And he brings her to Tokyo, yeah. And he's been making money dealing drugs, and also he's a little bit of a gigolo to his friend's mom. So there's a lot of drama and like soapy shit going on, like melodrama.
He's got mommy issues.
Yeah.
Is this a thing that, just because I'm not exactly sure on the pronunciation of his last name, I'm going to call him GN. Is this like his thing where he front loads all the credits? So you get every credit.
You mean Gasparino?
Yeah. GN.
GN. That's what you were saying. GN. I was like, GN. I was like, is this an Asian name you're trying to pronounce? You're talking about the director. Okay.
Yes, GN.
I got you. I don't know if he always does that. I can't remember. We saw Climax, and I've seen Love.
Did that happen in those movies, or do you remember?
I don't remember.
Yeah. I've only seen Climax and Irreversible, and I don't remember the credits for that one, for both of those movies.
Yeah, you get like a friggin' epilepsy nightmare of the credits up front, really fast and bright and crazy.
Not just the visuals, but the sounds too.
Yeah,
it's in on the senses.
It's riotous.
Yeah. It is,
and it's so he can end the movie real dramatically, like boom, done.
Yeah,
and I get that, but it was like, whoa, hey, dude.
Yeah,
we just met.
You called it too in the moment. Amy was like, "Oh, they're just doing these because they're going to do something strange at the end instead." And I'm like, "Yeah,
right."
Not strange, but yeah, a little more of the moment of silence that things got to hang in,
Yeah.
Since you're dealing with such heavy subject matter. Throughout the movie, you get these flashes of the accident that killed their parents.
Yeah.
And that, to me,
horrifying effect.
It works still, and it got me every time, like as a jump scare, but also as just like, I think that's a really accurate portrayal of what it's like to have like PTSD, where you replay things.
Well, it puts you there emotionally too.
Yeah.
And it keeps... Yeah, and I guess since it's from his perspective, we keep seeing it many times, not just once or twice. So I guess that's how, like Freddy said, like the PTSD, it just springs up on you when you least expect it.
Yeah.
These experiences.
And anybody that suffers from that stuff would recognize that, I think, watching this, and appreciate it in a way that some people might be like, why did they do this 3 times? Where I'm like, well, the art of the statement here is that the PTSD and the trauma was so deep.
It lasted beyond death.
That it lasted beyond his death, but also like it was the thing that bonded him and his sister together. Yeah. And like, I think one of the reasons that he was by her side so much throughout the movie, even when it was the weirdest possible time to be in a room with your sister.
Yeah. Bonded a little too much. This movie got a little uncomfortably.
This movie
incestuous.
This movie it wanted to tick off every like movie taboo it could.
Yeah.
It was going for it. It made a beautiful statement about what happens when you die. Something very interesting. And I appreciate that. However, what it was wrapped around.
You know what I think is wild? How this pairs with birth.
As making you uncomfortable as hell?
Both that and the theme of reincarnation. I mean, like the two of them have these moments where they challenge you to look at a relationship without any conventions put upon it. Like these two people aren't related in any way. So that's fine because the spirit is this eternal thing that is ageless. So the little boy can be in love with the grown woman and it's because he's actually spiritually her dead husband. And in this, it's kind of the same kind of thing where like you were saying earlier, like the Folgers kids, the Folgers brother and sister from the
oh my god,
the Christmas incest dad, very much like that. But I feel like they had that in common, like this idea of like as the director is not gonna pass judgment on the intensity of the bond between two like people who aren't supposed to have that kind of bond or attraction.
But I feel like the movies handle them both very differently. I think in this one it's very.
It's the sibling thing.
It's more salacious in a way.
Oh, well, definitely. It's pornographic at points.
It's pushing buttons to push buttons.
Yeah.
I mean that's Gaspar Noé's thing. He's a provocateur, but it's just make me. Sometimes he does it to see how far he can push it, as opposed to doing it for, I don't know, artistic reasons.
Comes off a little sleazy.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. At times it's icky.
I appreciate the straightforwardness of the movie called Enter the Void. And there's a bar called The Void that your character enters. And I was like, you know what? I love that. Thank you, movie.
Yeah.
It's extremely straightforward and I like that.
The funny thing about this movie is, one, it is I agree with you that it's too long
Oh my God, by a mile.
I feel like you could
An
make
hour.
a really like nimble cut of this in an hour and it would still be effective.
You could take an hour out
There's an alternate version that's 20 minutes shorter than the one we watched.
still.
Where they just cut an entire reel out of hallucinations and stuff.
I don't know. For me, like I didn't mind the length of it. To me, it never felt long because this movie is so like hypnotic and trance-like that you just puts you in that position of being out of body and you don't have the context of time and space. So to me, on that level, it really worked.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I felt the first time I saw it. Like the length of it, it didn't feel like a long movie. This time I felt it more, and it may be that I could just feel Amy's tension in the room. You know what I mean? Like it's the kind of movie that you have to really give yourself to this movie.
I gave as much as I could.
You have to be prepared.
Yeah.
I knew how long it was going in, but nobody prepared you for really how long that is.
And intense it is too, because that's a long time to be like tripping.
Yeah.
I mean, if we are in the seeing it from his perspective and he's dead and he's a spirit, it does feel like infinity because time doesn't matter to you when you're a ghost.
Well, that ghost, his first visit was to watch his sister get plowed.
Yeah. At the strip club where she works by someone who
By Mario.
we don't know if this is her boyfriend or not necessarily in the context that he's presented at this point, but you kind of figure out that they do have like a long standing relationship.
Did you think that was his real penis or a prosthetic, Andy?
I hope it's a prosthetic.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how else they would have filmed it.
Right.
Well, he just pulled it out of his pants. So
Yeah.
it could have been a real penis.
Could have been real. Because there was an intense amount of female nudity in this movie. Like more than normal.
Oh yeah.
And
there was penetrative sex
well, yes, exactly.
later in the film. Yeah.
But not as much. There was not equality in the nudity. Because there's like only one dick, I think you see. Well, no, then you get to see the one.
And in the morgue, you see the main characters for just a brief moment.
Well, they're presented different ways. It's the male nudity is very upfront and is not presented from a male gaze. You know, it's not sleazy like the female nudity is presented.
It was just noticeable.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
As a woman in this world, I'm looking for more penis on screen. It's all as a straight woman in this world.
Screen us.
I mean,
You should start a blog called Screen Us.
I want to
And
be
his
like the new
penis
what was
is
his
on
name?
film.
Mr. Tits, or what was his name?
Mr. Skin.
Mr. Skin.
Mr. Tits.
I like Mr. Tits better.
I'll be like him, but for wieners.
Mademoiselle
But again,
Wieners.
it is very Gasparno thing. He's sleazy. He's very European. Let's put it that way.
He's extraordinarily European. That's the only way you could describe it, Andy. You hit the nail on the head.
So you got.
And I'm very American. I can't help it.
You're
Yeah.
talking about sleaze. Like Oscar, our main character, is not actually. He seems kind of like a borderline clean cut kid, except for all the drugs in the dirty apartment. But his buddy Alex,
I don't
is
know. Like, I want to like sympathize with his upbringing and his trauma, but like, he basically gets his sister hooked on drugs and becoming a prostitute.
oh yeah, basically,
He's not a great guy.
Yeah. No, I do feel like he came from a place of like good intentions with everything he did.
He just didn't make great choices.
Yeah.
let's just
Yeah.
say.
Because they were both like foster kids, you know. It's like they were doing the best with what they had. But I was gonna say Alex, like the sleazy friend who
No, I didn't think he was sleazy.
but she
French guy?
calls him that. The sister
Oh, okay.
does. She talks about him being
He was the only decent character that there ever was.
talks like him being bad for Oscar. But really, yeah, I liked Alex too.
Really, he was a voice of reason.
And he was secretly in love with, not so secretly, in love with the sister,
Yeah.
Linda. But
Linda.
I really like that character.
Who licks her brother.
Yeah.
You kiss him and you lick him.
What
Listen, I guess I'm just silly American over here.
was Alex supposed to be French?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so.
That's how he played his French for me. The accent, I wasn't 100% certain, but I like that guy was he was like the guy, his whole gateway to everything.
Mm-hmm.
He got him the drugs originally when he was new there. Like he was like the guy who got him connected, even though he tried to discourage him from dealing drugs,
Right.
but not really so
And doing
much.
the harder stuff.
And then he's the one who gives him the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which all this stuff is supposed to be like the stages that are laid out in that book.
Which is another very like straightforward thing the movie did.
Yeah.
They talk about the stages of death and what happens to you after you die in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And then boom, he's dead minutes later. And so then you can now start watching that exact thing unfold. It was very straightforward of this movie to do that.
I mean, the movie doesn't have like a lot of crazy curveballs.
No,
it's
it
just,
doesn't. It's just
Yeah.
all of the taboo breaking.
Yeah.
That's what
But it's not. It's not even about the plot or what happens in the movie. It's more about the experience. Which sounds very pretentious, but that's what it is. It feels like it's more like a museum piece than an actual something you sit down and watch in a movie theater. I can't imagine watching this in a theater.
Could you
Oh, that'd have been
honestly
intense.
could you be like, "Oh, mom and dad, you're in town and we need something to do as a family. Why don't we go see this movie called Enter the Void?"
That would
But
be-
that's your
you
own fault for not.
imagine?
That's your own fault for not doing the
I
research.
know. But God, could you imagine?
I remember when this movie came out, I thought it was going to be a science fiction movie like Blade Runner from the cover. The poster, when you see the poster, it's just all the neon of Tokyo, but it looks very futuristic. And the title, it feels like a sci-fi kind of title, but then what you're getting is something so deeply spiritual.
Did anybody clock that? So he gets betrayed, you guys, by Victor.
He had already betrayed Victor, though. He was kind of, he fucked his mom for money.
So Victor Rats is wired up and got the police, and they're gonna come, and he's a rat fink, right? And so our protagonist Oscar, he runs into the bathroom and he starts frantically trying to flush the pills that he was gonna be selling. The police are banging on the door. He's down on the ground, touching the ground in this bathroom stall.
Putting his hand in the squat toilet.
Yeah.
Oh God! It just looks so disgusting.
Have either of you ever used a squat toilet?
Oh yeah, it's I've been to Hong Kong a couple times, and as it's hard enough using it when you're younger, but I can't imagine it now as I'm old.
With your
Creaky
knees?
In my Ford. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure like well, Asians, I think they have a stronger quads because
Because
they
of the
tend
squat
to
toilet?
squat a lot. It's a thing. Look up the Asian squat. Asians squat a lot, but maybe
Okay.
maybe it comes from the toilets anyway. But
You know, when you
yeah,
think about it,
it's-
sumo wrestling is a mostly squatted sport.
yeah.
So he's got his hands in the squatty potty. No, squat toilet. Sorry. I didn't mean to say that. So he's got his hands and it's disgusting and everybody's going, "Bleh, bleh." But the police are there and they're banging on the
Yeah.
door and he's like, I've got a gun. You got to back. He's saying to the police he's got a gun to get
He-
them to back off.
He's hoping they'll slow down at least
What
so he can get the pills down.
was he think? Is that what he was thinking?
Yeah, he was just stalling so he could get rid
And
of
he's
all the
panicking.
pills. Yeah.
But that kind of sealed his fate too.
That was
Yeah.
it, bro. And if
They didn't fuck around.
no, it was very American of them.
I gasped the first time I saw this in that moment.
I did.
Yeah, that was
You-
intense.
You Gaspard.
I gasped hard.
No.
No.
And today I watching this movie. I learned that Japanese cops have guns. I didn't know they.
I didn't
thought it was
either.
I thought it was like Britain where they just had billy clubs or something.
Apparently not. Maybe just the drug cops get the guns. Who knows? So one question about the squat toilet. When you poop, like you have to aim for that little hole a little bit better, right?
Well, you're squatting right above the hole, so it's
Yeah.
not like you have to
Yeah.
really aim.
Just right
you don't
there.
think you have to really aim.
This squat toilet just looked like it couldn't handle much. It could barely handle the pills he put in there. If someone dropped a deuce in there, it would be a nightmare.
Well, maybe they're designed for more Asian poops.
It's your big girthy American food
Yeah.
that wouldn't be able to go down.
Bringing them Western world poops in there. That's
Yeah,
the
because
problem.
as a people, Asians tend to be a little more dainty,
You dainty
and the diet is
motherfuckers.
clean, and their diets are cleaner, so
That's true.
our poos are not as extreme, I guess.
I've seen some of your extreme poos, Andy.
All right. So
But I've been Americanized.
You are. Yeah.
speaking of, this movie made me nauseous several times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about anybody else,
Oh,
but
definitely.
the whirling
Well,
about.
Well, at first, it took me a while to get situated. What maybe like a half hour in, like first half hour, I had to look away a couple times.
Yeah.
I
'cause it
did
was just
through the
so
lights.
intense.
Did you when they use that transition where they zoom in super close on a
Yeah.
bright flashing light?
Mhm.
I couldn't handle that shit.
Yeah,
I
that's-
could only
that-
handle a little bit of it.
I called those the void transitions because I think it's feel what we're entering the void of the afterlife.
Right.
Did you
But,
feel the intensity of them when they were happening, where you're like, you felt like your actual brain was being manipulated by the light somehow?
Yeah, but I also felt like it's when I try to read in a car,
Yeah.
that kind of like sickly feeling, and also just makes you feel dizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I got both of those things too.
It did
it's
that
awful.
to me.
But it's also I kind of get why you did it. The torture
You
part.
were saying like it was priming our brains in some way
I feel that
to
like
accept the
yeah.
movie, and
The-
I
yeah.
do not accept that.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't either. Like I couldn't hold my gaze with it.
Right.
I felt like what those people who must suffer, like what it must be like to have a seizure triggered by a strobing light.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the closest I've ever felt to is watching this movie, where I'm just like, I could see this being enough of a strobe light to give somebody an actual problem, you know?
Right.
Well, at first I was like, this would be really cool to see in VR, but then I was like, oh wait, no, it won't.
It'd be a
No.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean, VR is already, I get like weird vertigo from VR already.
Yeah, because it's claustrophobic enough
Yeah.
to do like regular VR, but watching this in VR is thick as a bridge too far.
It is crazy how much fun the movie manages to be, despite like how dark it is and how off-putting it makes
The
itself.
graphic abortion scene.
Yeah. Yeah, that was something, huh?
This
Not
woman
just,
is
like-
comfortable with her body. A.
Yeah.
Paz
And,
de la,
her.
de la where?
She used
where
to figure pretty heavily in the gossip rags.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
Paz
just
de la
like
Hair.
it's not just the way they shot it that makes you comfortable as a subject matter. It's
Mhm.
very Requiem for a Dream
Yeah,
meets kids.
yeah. It's heartbreaking that
Yeah.
scene too, because you just I feel like Linda has had nothing really go right for her ever
No.
her
Yeah.
whole life.
She's had a hell of a time in this world.
And Oscar's life has been just marginally better than hers. I don't know why I feel that way,
Maybe.
but it just seems like he has like you know, pushed himself to bring her
Yeah.
there, and he did
Well,
something, you know.
I think he was a little bit older when the trauma happened, so I think he was more equipped to deal with it than she was.
Yeah, a little bit. But in the end, they're both messes, really.
Yeah.
In that, you know, any minute they're gonna start having sex with each other if if things don't.
He was sniffing her underwear, so
Yeah,
I don't.
she was a little handsy too. Like they were both kind of.
She was licky. He
It
was
was a little
sniffy.
reciprocal.
yeah.
And another thing that made me real feel uncomfortable is watching this is like, like I know people like this in my life.
Siblings who
So-
are like this.
No, like not like this the incestuous stuff, but like the people who are on drugs and who haven't had the easiest life
Oh,
and
yeah,
and just make bad decisions.
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
definitely.
that's why that's another way that made me like it was hard to watch this movie, and sometimes
Yeah, because of the desperation of their situations too.
yeah.
You know, they never really say that Oscar is a full-blown addict either. It almost feels like he just started experimenting with drugs.
Like it's new for him.
Yeah, and there's like an innocence there too where
He hasn't hit rock bottom by a mile yet.
but he hits it instantly because he dies. But he was one of those people that could have gone on and probably been okay. He just seems
I know,
smart.
but it's just the casualness of their drug use is concerning.
Yeah.
Because when his sister Linda comes to Tokyo, like within a couple of days, to go to a club, and he's like, "Here, take this," and she's like, "What is it?" And she's like, "Just trust me." And I was like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reckless. And it's even more intense because the drug laws in Japan are so much heavier than they are here, where there's that whole extra element of danger. Well, obviously, he gets killed,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, it is just a very scary situation. I feel like watching this as an American too, and I've never been to Tokyo. Tokyo always seemed kind of like a fantasy place, you know. So it adds like that, all the neon and the just the slight differences between, you know, what we're used to, like the squat toilet, make everything feel like it gives it something that it wouldn't have if they had said it in New York or LA,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been to Hong Kong, and that's what it feels like. It captures that feeling of being in a giant, like video game city. It does, like when you're in Hong Kong, like in the busy parts with the giant size skyscrapers and like neon lights everywhere. It is overwhelming.
I imagine.
Which fits like the feel of this movie very well.
Yeah, I enjoyed that though. It's like I said, I don't think I would have ever imagined a set anywhere else.
The movie fakes you out for a minute where they want you to think he's alive. He actually like woke up in the morgue and he's alive again. And we're back in first person again.
This is creepy.
Well, we've always been in first person. We're back to not following him anymore. It's like we're back in his body.
Yeah. So it feels it is
and you
third
think
person
that's what about-
now, like over
'cause
the
I'm like-
shoulder.
Anything could happen in this movie.
Yeah,
I don't doubt anything.
he had already been cremated at this point too, right?
That's what they had told us.
Yeah.
Yes. But that scene was weird.
Oh, it was like a nightmare. I'd forgotten
Where
this
she was
scene
like, that thing isn't my brother.
Because Amy was looking at me, and she's like, "Wait, is he alive?" And I'm like, "I totally forgot this scene entirely." And it shocks me because it was so creepy, like what she said, that thing's not my brother, like, and he was just in her dream.
Right.
where he came back to life and they didn't know what to do with him. And I've had this nightmare myself about loved ones that have died, and like exactly this dream. It gave me chills, man. And I'm really shocked that I didn't remember it. But then again, I think the first time I saw this, maybe mom and dad were still alive.
Yeah.
Maybe. But it really struck home this time.
Yeah. But no, it was all a dream. All a dream. So what does she do? She dumps his cremains in the sink. Why does she do that?
She can't take it.
All right.
Too intense.
To have his stuff? To have his ashes?
Yeah, she's like melting down.
All right.
Yeah, like, well,
Disrespectful.
like she's dealing with the trauma and she's being alone in the big city. She just had an abortion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a little
like
hormonal.
like she's like breaking down basically. And also we don't know if she's still like taking drugs either.
True.
So like there leaves things in the air about what she's actually experiencing too.
Yeah, it's true. There's that other woman that she is hanging out with who never speaks.
Yeah.
You know, the Asian lady who she's like having the 3-way with Mario or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then like, you never really get any details on her relationships with anybody.
No.
They're
not
all
really.
super sketchy.
Yeah.
You get a lot more with Victor's relationship with Oscar. That's where you get some juicy tidbits.
That he's been boning his mom.
Not only has he been boning his mom,
boned
you get the
mom.
feeling that Victor might be kind of in love with Oscar
Yeah.
at one point too,
Yeah.
which makes
so.
it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a scene where they're in the apartment together and Alex comes out with a towel
Mhm.
out of the shower and there's like a lingering look on Victor's part.
Yeah, it almost looks like
trying not to
Oscar's
look.
encouraging it a little
Yeah.
bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a very charged scene, and then he found
Yeah,
out he nailed his mom.
There's just a lot of heaviness and sadness all around
Yeah.
from all the characters.
Yeah,
So it's a really heavy movie.
you know,
Until you get to the Love Hotel and
Yeah.
there's no sadness.
I was
There's
gonna
just boning down.
the thing that leads up to the Love Hotel I really love is the artist character, who they're always hanging out in his like lofty area where he has built the miniature version of the town
Tokyo.
of Tokyo, and
What a town.
and he has the love. He's the one who built the Love Hotel.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like it, and it feels like Beetlejuice or something. The way the transitions between real architecture and then when they slip in shots of that model the guy's building, you start like not knowing what's real anymore.
So what was the Love Hotel then?
I think it was just a no-tell motel with hourly
Yeah.
rates.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically in the name. It's a love hotel where people go to make love.
Yeah,
And boy were they. And boy do we get to see it all. And
yeah.
boy do we get to see a lot of it. I believe this is when I wrote the words indulgent down and obscene.
Yeah.
At this point, it got indulgent. I feel like,
No, the whole movie's been indulgent.
yeah, but this is maybe pushing it over the edge of
This is where I was
super
like,
indulgence.
I get it. We can see a few folks enjoying themselves. That's fine. But it just kept going,
Yeah.
which again is the story of this whole movie.
It tried to make it it was a very magical kind of sex thing because everyone's dick simplicities were lighting up like the 4th of July.
This is true. There was light coming from where everyone
like
was
if-
joined.
It's like if the Predator is watching people have sex.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's Victor, right? Don't we get a sneak of Victor in the elevator
he's-
blowing a guy?
Yeah.
There's Victor. It's like a cameo.
He's just a kid.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Baby's doing
You're like, there he is. Look.
adult things.
I like you do get to keep track of the characters in this. Like especially like at the point when they first enter the void, literally, and not Vincent. Alex is like, okay, I'm gonna stay out here, which made it feel even more like a video game at that point, where it's like you go on this mission by yourself, and I'm out here
Right.
doing my thing as an NPC. But this character who his life falls apart in the middle of this movie too.
because he doesn't know what the cops know about him now because
Yeah.
Victor could have squealed about him as well.
So he's connected to like real dangerous people. So he has to sever
burn everything.
Yeah, he has to go off the grid and live home. He becomes homeless, right? Like
Right.
more or less, and he's just living on the street, and because he's afraid to make any moves, and I felt bad for again. I like you
he
say
was
it's
the
likable,
only likable character I thought.
and he had this kind of sweet. He had the sweets for Linda, and I like that pulls him through the middle of this movie and brings him back for the Love Hotel sequence, where we get to see his penis ejaculate
You get
right
to see
in your eyes.
the view from the POV is from the vagina, looking out.
Linda's vagina
Linda's vagina
is looking
So,
at
and Alex's penis.
Alex's
you
penis.
see,
You know, just the implications of it. It's like Oscar basically entered his sister's vagina, right?
as
and his watch.
he
yeah,
crawled
and
up
is
into
watched-
her womb.
Yeah, and is watching a penis thrust into her, and then we see the finale
Yeah.
of the
And life is
waterfall of
created.
sperm.
The egg being fertilized. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's trying. There's a couple of sperms trying real hard, and then that's when you get to the end. But I think they're insinuating that Oscar's just going to be her new baby.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you want to make Enter the Void 2, where it's like, look who's talking, and the little baby has the actor from Oscar's voice?
Yeah. Well, again, the implications of Oscar being reincarnated as his sister's child
As
is
his own niece or nephew.
Yeah.
it's like
It's weird.
So it
Unless
moves from
you-
incestuous into like Medea complex.
It shows his promise never to leave her, though, too, is like he's going to get as close to her as he possibly can so that he's always there for her, which is really sweet.
It is sweet when you think about
I
it.
love that part of this. When you take all the really complicated sexual shit out of it.
Yeah.
I just hope that she bottle feeds.
Yeah. Oh, but she won't. Because breastfeeding is like a huge theme in this, too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, doesn't
'Cause
it
we-
end with that?
Yeah.
Because he gets reborn.
Yeah.
That's right. He gets reborn. He's all blurry because babies have blurry vision.
And then he's nursing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Linda's gonna be suspicious. Like, wow, this baby's really hungry all the time.
Oh,
You think the
it's
baby's
like her
just
horny
horny?
little brother is
Yeah.
reincarnated in her baby.
Wow.
This movie is complicated.
That is wicked gross.
If you had to explain this to somebody,
Which we just did.
it don't make no damn sense. But
Oh, it makes plenty of sense.
no, it makes sense. But I mean, it's just batshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we can explain it all we want. Try to explain all we want, but it's a movie you really have to experience for yourself to
Yeah.
really get it.
I'm not.
And in that way, it really succeeds.
Yeah. It can trigger you in every way you
Yes.
can imagine, too. So if you're a sensitive viewer, avoid it at all costs. But if you like a roller coaster kind of movie, I think it's
Well, it's
one
not
of
like a roller
those.
coaster. It's more like a dark ride.
Or a dark, yeah, a very,
You
very
know?
dark ride. Yeah.
I think the movie. I'm not sad that I watched it. I wouldn't classify. This is what I said about Birth. I wouldn't say that the word is enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
The phrase. The word is more like wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I can say about that.
Yeah.
The movie is indulgent. And if you can handle that for 2 hours and 45 minutes,
Yeah.
holy
Give or
Was
take.
it that
240
long?
I think it's
I think it's 220 or
241.
something.
Well, you might have seen the version with the reel missing, Andy. There's two versions of it.
Oh, okay.
We saw the one that we have.
it was real
It was the
long.
only one we could watch.
It's like fucking Lord of the Rings long.
You might have been spared just some hallucinations if yours was 220.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like the director's cut then?
That's what the 241 is.
That was that the director's cut? Like
Yeah, what we
that-
saw is.
okay.
But that's what they originally released, I think. It's complicated with this movie because I think like they kind of had a really weird way of releasing this with or without that reel. And I think either way it didn't affect like the rating or anything. So I'm not sure exactly what the story there is.
Don't watch this with your parents. Don't watch this with your kids. Don't
Or your brother, or your siblings.
or your siblings for sure. It is gonna be awkward.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when they say like if you're gonna do like acid or mushrooms, you got to be in a safe space.
Yeah, be with people.
You
you
got to be
trust.
prepared.
Yes.
So I think that's the recommendation for this movie. You have to be prepared.
I think that's
Freddy told me to smoke some marijuana and just sit back.
Yeah, and we're like, but not too much marijuana, because too much marijuana in this movie is also a horrible
Freaked
combination.
out. Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to say about the movie?
Are you glad you made me
it's
watch
like
it?
I'm glad I revisited it.
yeah, it works. Like I said, it works more as an experience than a movie because it's something you don't really need. I can't imagine people watching this a lot.
Yeah,
And if you do,
like
it's
hardcore fans.
It's kind of like a red flag if you watch this movie.
Yeah.
It's like you come home from work and you just need to relax. You're like, hey, what should I put on? And if somebody suggests Enter the Void, I'm like, yee.
Run the other way.
Yeah.
All right, so the algorithm, man. What do we got? What do we got on the algorithm?
What has it been forcing us to watch or do?
We've been watching a lot of the dark side of the 2000s,
Yeah, we've still been watching that.
and we've been talking about that on here, but we just got to the Maxim episode. We haven't started yet.
So you're out of the 90s and the 2000s. You
Now we're in the
moved
2000s.
to 2000s now.
They've
And
got the 2000s.
our next ep
yeah.
is about Maxim magazine and all those fucking misogynistic, but kind of fun still. And I read them too.
the
Magazines.
Was it the start of the incels?
It had to have been.
probably had something.
In the start of like Andrew Tate's and
It's their
and the,
birthplace.
who are those brothers that everybody hates? The
the Property
ones-
Brothers.
no, the
It's the Property Brothers.
Logan and who's the other one?
Oh, the Pauls.
The
Paul brothers.
The Jakes
Yeah,
and
Jake
the
and
Logan.
Logan.
Yeah,
Pauls.
I think that's it. Like this culture planted the seed of like the jerks we see now.
The
Yeah.
there was a 2-parter about shock jocks, and it got. I never knew the whole Opie and Anthony stuff.
I never listened to that. So
And it was,
I know that how
Monstrous.
Anthony flamed out. I remember that.
They were both
on
a mess.
Twitter.
They did some horrible shit.
Yeah.
Really, really horrible shit.
So did Howard Stern. Don't
Yeah.
forget.
Well, yeah. They were trying to one up him, and I think
Yeah.
they were just. It was toxic as hell.
Yeah.
Oh, and we saw the pilot of Goosebumps with David Schwimmer.
That's something the algorithm served up. I did
yeah.
fall asleep, but I was sort of enjoying it.
It was surprisingly good. I thought it was going to be like the
Is it the new series?
Yeah.
it's a brand new
Yeah.
series. And I guess they're trying to like let it grow up just a little bit. It feels like the X-Files, I think, kind of the tone.
Yeah.
I'll probably watch another episode. I don't know if I'm like hooked by it yet. I love David
Yeah,
Schwimmer. I'll watch
see
him in
another
anything.
one. Except he's Andy, his hair. Oh my
Oh,
god,
it's ridiculous.
He's got bangs.
It's real bad.
He's got man bangs.
Yeah. Have you
It's
seen?
awful.
Should I
Somebody
should I
needs
look
to,
it up?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
worth it.
Everybody listening, pull your car over. Google David Schwimmer's hair and Goosebumps and be horrified.
They might fix it after the pilot. Maybe.
Is it
You know,
set in the
sometimes that
past,
happens.
like the 90s or
No.
something?
No, there's no reason for it. Although I guess the 90s are back in style right now. But ew, that was
making a
old
statement.
Caesar haircuts. But this is even longer than that. They're bad.
It's not. It's not as bad as
It's
I imagine
terrible.
it.
You got to see it in action. You got to see it in HD.
So like still pictures doesn't do it justice.
Can't. It can't if you don't think it's that bad. Anyway, Goosebumps.
I mean,
Goosebumps.
it looks wiggy.
right.
Yeah, it does look wiggy.
I guess that's the biggest drawback of it because you
Yeah.
get to a certain age and just bangs don't work for
Nope. Unless
certain
you're
demographics.
Yeah.
doing a wig. Oh my god, it's a piece.
And he's so funny. He like effortlessly funny that it's hard not to like just start giggling when he turns up.
Yeah.
So
Like,
like,
just thinking of
he's
Ross.
is he in like all the episodes? Because isn't Goosebumps kind of like an anthology where it's
This one is one
like
story.
a different story every week? Oh, okay. Cause
Yeah.
because I was a little too old for like when the first Goosebumps came out, so I didn't really watch it. But
Same.
I imagine it's kind of like just one-off episodes all the time, right? But it's
No,
interesting that
this
they're
one is-
doing like a through line.
Well, you know what's funny is
What's funny about that?
they did
What did they do?
2 seasons
Or-
already.
What? No, that's
Or
not
is he kind of like the David Duchovny character from Red Shoe Diaries?
right. No, he's in the episode.
where
He's
he
part of the
like
story.
Introduces it and
No, I know what you're
um,
talking about,
there's- the story plays out.
but no, he's a
Oh.
main character.
This is the 2nd season, and the first season was a different storyline.
So it's an anthology series.
Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't realize. You know what's funny? I watched the pilot of the first season, and I don't remember it at all.
Well, look at that. Isn't that funny, you guys? Hey, Freddy,
They're like teenage casts.
we need to talk about the definition of funny.
I mean, it's odd.
All right, anyway.
It's amusing.
It's amusing. So I have
So-
I have 2 seasons of Gersberms I could be watching.
So you watched the second season without watching the first? So you-
Yeah.
are you guys lost?
I don't think they're
No.
connected. I think it's a
Oh.
whole new story. That's what I was saying. Like, I think they're going to do a new
Okay.
one each season. I think it's like Channel Zero. Pretty comparable to that. Maybe.
Yeah. So Andy,
Yeah. You catch any fresh stuff?
Oh, I watched Joker Folie à Deux. Is that how you say it?
The new one?
Folie à deux.
The sequel to
Folie à
Joker?
Deux. Yeah.
Yeah, how was it?
I was just curious because
Had you
know,
seen Joker?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
I did. That was fun enough. But just the discourse around the sequel, how it's a disaster and like everybody's angry about it. It's fine. Then again, I don't have this strong connection to the first one, so I'm not going to be angry about how they approach the second one. It's not the disaster that I read it to be, but it's not great either.
Yeah.
Is it a musical?
Yeah, it's
Which is weird that they
But-
didn't really market it that way.
But it's interesting how they do the musicals. It's not like these grand numbers. Like I was expecting like a Busby Berkeley
Yeah.
musical numbers and like big sets and dance numbers. But it's mostly plays out in just Joker's mind, and he's basically just singing to himself and dancing around a little bit.
how's the music?
It's very jukeboxy, like
Yeah.
a lot of just classic songs that you know already, and it's very in that way it's kind of trite. But I don't know, I kept reading things where like the director Todd Phillips, is that his name?
Yeah.
That he was like purposely trying to make this like purposely being a middle finger to the fans that misinterpreted the original movie, which I kind of see. But I don't think it's like a middle finger to them. It's basically it's like the cultural personality, how people misinterpret certain things and have this character they build up in their mind.
So the movie, that's
But-
like a big theme in the movie.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I like that.
So in that way, it's very prescient and of today too, because people's idolatry of certain other people is terrifying,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and how easily people can be,
Manipulated.
pulled into like and putting their feelings onto this character.
Right.
It's really interesting to see it play out in real time right now.
You're talking about Trump, right?
Yeah, Trump and just any big celebrity that people, the parasocial relationships that people have with
Oh, I gotcha.
these people,
Yeah. I thought you were trying to like pussyfoot around saying Trump, and I'm like, you could say
No,
it.
not just Trump. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
but like he's probably the biggest one
Yeah.
out there right now. But like everybody, like a lot of people have really unhealthy relationships
Yeah.
with
and
celebrities,
and you
Yeah.
think someone's
Yeah.
a role model sometimes when they're not.
Yeah. But yeah,
Oh,
it's
there's that big article came out today about Neil Gaiman.
about who? Oh yeah.
Oh.
I'm a headline reader, so I didn't read the article,
It's
but like I
disgusting.
guess multiple women
Yeah.
have come out
Yes.
and gone on record saying
Yes.
with this stuff.
With their names.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's
So,
not
yeah.
pretty. But anyway,
So yeah.
putting anybody on a
Yeah.
pedestal is gonna It's not a good idea.
Except us, we're perfect.
Unless they're already dead.
You could trust us.
We don't know anything real bad about Mark Twain, so you can still respect him. Is that true?
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
he disrespected Cincinnati.
This is true, and it is the worst crime
Except
you
we're
can commit.
backwards.
Yeah. But it's fine. I wouldn't recommend it, but
Right.
it's not the disaster, to me at least, it's made out to be.
Right.
Gaga was fine.
She was fine.
Maybe, yeah, like they didn't really give her much to do. Her character was very one note, but and also you have to suspend your disbelief a lot. I guess that's the case with with every like superhero movie, but
True.
for this one, well, Joker was pretty grounded and more realistic, even though there was a lot of leaps too. But for this one, you really have to. There are certain moments and plot lines like you're like, what, really?
Now I want to watch it.
Yeah,
I like the absurd shit.
yeah.
They don't
But
do enough of it in DC.
I do appreciate that Todd Phillips was swinging for the fences and taking a chance and not doing what everybody expected him to do.
Yeah.
Because the sequel to Joker, you expect him to become Joker, this villain, but it's totally not that at all. He doesn't become what people expected him to become.
You know what? There's another thing from the algorithm I just remembered.
What's that?
Because Andy was talking about the Joker. Batman 89. Have you read this, Andy?
No, is it a book or a comic?
There's a compiled version of it you can get on Kindle Unlimited is where I read it. And it's a comic. And it's set in the 89 Batman movie universe after Batman Returns. And they got the screenwriter to write the script, and it's they use actors from the era, like Madonna is, I think, Harley Quinn, if I remember right. And there's like all these characters, if they were cast in the movies, like Billy D. Williams is still Harvey Dent and Michael Keaton is Batman. But there's like when they bring Robin in, they bring in a whole new look, and it's really fun. And it feels like that 89 Batman. And then there's Superman 78, which is the same thing, but with Superman. And it's really, really good too. If you like those old superhero movies, the best ones, in my opinion.
Oh.
The OGs.
Okay, Boomer. Okay.
Very
We hear
fun.
you.
Very fun.
We've also been catching up on the latest season of Only Murders in the Building, which remains such a hoot.
Finished it last
Well,
night.
you did.
Amy was sound asleep.
Amy fell asleep for a few episodes, so
So what season is it on right now?
4.
4, I guess.
About to
4.
go. Yeah, they're doing a 5th one.
Yeah.
It's cool.
so
It seems
good.
like it seems like they're turning these out like on a regular schedule,
Yes.
Mhm.
You don't have to wait crazy amounts of
Yeah.
time.
which I like. I haven't watched this series, but like I like how they do it like traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like a lot of other series, like they have like season 1, then 3-4 years later
Yeah.
comes out season 2, and you're like, what happened to
Severance,
season 1?
Squid Game.
Yeah. Then you lose touch with the story.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this season a lot. I don't think everybody did. I hear there's mixed reviews, but I think it's just as good as the first 2. It's a little more absurd.
Yeah. Question for you guys: like, how is Selena Gomez in this show? Because
She's great.
I hear like a lot of mixed reviews on her performance.
I like it. Like,
I think it's deliberately flat.
it is deliberately flat in a way that it works for me. I don't know. I have no complaints. I think she works. They all work so well together.
Yeah, it works. The chemistry's there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be like, I got to see Selena Gomez and other stuff.
Yeah.
But
I'm
like,
fine.
she's good as Mabel. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. She's Mabel.
Yeah.
She owns that character pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like how they seem to really get along in real life too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Ain't that sweet?
Yeah. And isn't Martin Short and Meryl Streep apparently dating?
Yeah,
Is that not the most adorable thing?
Yeah.
they have great chemistry.
It's so
They're
adorable.
giving Tom Holland and Zendaya a run for their money for the cutest couple.
Who's gonna win it? Who's gonna win it? senior superlative time.
I go with the seniors.
Right.
Literally, because they're old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I guess that's it.
We'll be back next week with Amy's pick.
Yeah. So we went with, Birth, and we're, complicated movie. Then Enter the Void, an extremely complicated movie. And my pick is not complicated at all. It's called Magic Mike. So at the end of every show, we say hi to our Beelzebubs.
It might be complicated for certain dudes to make them feel things they don't want to.
Complicated feelings.
Just say no
Yeah.
homo, it'll be fine. Oh
Yeah.
my God. At the end of every show, we say hi to our Beelzebubs. Patreon.com/NOTLP. There's a certain tier there. If you do that, then we say your name at the end of every show. Like Matt, Branan and Emily, Jeffel, Iona Goodwin,
I want a great one.
Dr. Brian, Old Dirty Billsterd, Bill Fahrner, Blayne Yogurt, Jordache Jeans, Monica, Jeremy, Cassie, and Gamora, Ernest, Dave, and Paul.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That's the list, and thank you so much.
All right, see you next week. Bye.
Frankenstein was wondering if he should go to bed when his old buddy